New round of SDH AM. John, here, you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. I'm working on my key light. I'm still working on this thing. So I know it kind of looks, maybe a little scary or something when it comes to maybe looking like a haunted house or whatever. But I'm trying because you see the setup here, and it's something that I've kind of navigated for this week. And it's like, okay, Monday I looked kind of dark, and it was sunny outside, so I couldn't, it wasn't really something that was affecting things a whole lot. And so, okay, how do I make things a little brighter? And so what I did was I ended up trying to bring in lamps from other rooms and create kind of like my own fill key setup here. So it's almost like a triangle, except that the big light is the one that's over my head, and so I have the two lights that are underneath me, and trying to make it look like it's not some kind of monster chiller horror theater look. So, morning, David. So I'm trying to figure it out, the whole thing, and figure what's it looking like, and is it going to work, and all this kind of stuff. And so that's kind of where I am right now. So that's where the setup is right now. If I need to continue adjusting lamps, I think the main lesson here, and I guess this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends over at Morning Espresso, where Jason gets to start your day. And we want to thank our friends from Oglethorpe University for helping us out with that. But I think the lesson I learned here specifically is that I've got to make sure that I bring that ring light with me. And I think that that's probably the biggest element in all of this, is that I have a ring light that's a part of the setup at the office, at Office HD, and it's right in my face. It's not, like underneath, and it's showing all the jowls and the angles and everything like that. So right now, it's one of those where I've got to remember to bring the ring light in the future. Morning, Alex. All right, so here is the rundown for today. It's pretty stacked, and it covers a whole lot of ground from a bunch of different places. 9:30. It's going to be a conversation having to do with high school soccer. And we bring back in our friend Cody Case from Valdosta High School. And we've also, we're going to bring in another couple of coaches, Ben Davis, the head girls coach at Valdosta, and Matt Tanner, one of the assistants over at Thomas County Central. They had the clinic, the first ever clinic in South Georgia, and it was tied to the United Soccer Coaches element. And so I wanted to find out, when all of these coaches got together, because it was going to be on the field stuff and off the field stuff, I wanted to ask coaches that attended this clinic, and thanks to Cody for kind of orchestrating this whole thing, what they learned. Did they learn anything new? Did they learn from each other? What are they learning? What are the similarities about growing the sport in South Georgia when it comes to the high school game? Those kinds of things, stumbling blocks, community engagement, community involvement, fan involvement, student involvement, those kinds of things. Getting people out to come out and try out. What is the interest level? And so basically just kind of wanted to share notes and kind of compare what the experience was like and what these programs are going through. And these are two large programs in the sense of Valdosta is in, for those of you that are outside the state of Georgia, Valdosta is in the highest classification. And they are in the only region that is south of the midline in the state of Georgia. It's the only South Georgia region that is attached to the highest classification. So you've got Cody and Ben, who will be discussing things from that Valdosta perspective. Then Matt Tanner is in the next highest classification. There are 6 classifications here in the state of Georgia this go around. And then when you have reclassification, they'll go back to 7, and you won't have 2 Class A's. And I know it's alphabet soup. So right now, in the second to largest classification is Thomas County Central. Their high school football team, American football, they won a state championship. They're nationally ranked, top 15, top 20, depending on the poll. But what's it like for the FUTBOL program? What's it like for them in Thomasville, where everyone is you're either red or you're either a jacket or a bulldog? First off. And then what is it for a school that has won 2 state championships in your classification in the last 3 years? They've had 2 undefeated seasons. What's it like for a soccer program in a football environment to try and grow and evolve and all of those stumbling blocks that are there? So it's going to be catching up with Valdosta and Thomas County Central coming up bottom of the hour. And we're going to find out what it's like for these 2 predominant football schools, FOOTBALL, American football. What's it like for them to grow, and what's it like for them to continue to evolve as soccer programs in football environments? And so we'll find out about the clinic, what they learned, notes that they're taking with, who else they share notes with, those kinds of things. So that's at 9:30. 10 o'clock this morning, it is catching up. We had a conversation with the director of football, Terry McFlynn, at Auckland FC. And they're getting ready for the OFC Pro League and our big coverage of that. We're going to hit that league as hard as possible, because it is the only time that you really can make that first impression. And it is an 8-team league in the Oceania Confederation, and it's about 15 hours ahead of us. So we're having to figure out, okay, so if we talk to folks, it's going to be middle of the afternoon our time, and it'll be first thing in the morning their time. And so that's kind of where we are with the rhythm of getting things done. And we're going to catch up with Terry McFlynn. Auckland, for those that may not know, is part of the Black Knight umbrella, Bill Foley, Bournemouth, etc. And so we'll find out from Terry quickly what it's like for them to be getting ready for this league and the launch coming up. Basically, it would be tomorrow night, East Coast time. So we catch up with Terry McFlynn, director of football, at 10 o'clock. Nate Miller, the head coach at AC Boise. He's going to be joining us at 10:30. We're going to find out now that he's starting to sign players. They had a big signing where they brought in 5. One of them is familiar to the footprint with us here, Jake Dingler. So we're going to find out, or get a bit of a progress report from Nate Miller as to where things are with players and travel and getting ready for everything. And so it's going to be progress report in South Georgia High School at 9:30. Progress report in Oceania for the OFC Pro League at 10. Progress report for AC Boise and USL League 1 at 10:30. So that's kind of where we are. In and out of all of that, there's a lot of news this morning that we've got to get into and get you ready for things. Obviously, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatis. All of that stuff is going on. So there's a lot of news and information that we're going to kind of weave in and out in hour number 1 and hour number 2. And then we're going to get you ready for all of these progress reports on all of the different levels that we have here this morning. High school and Oceania and USL League 1. So those 3. So it's going to be stopping in South Georgia, stopping in Auckland, New Zealand, and we're going to be stopping in Boise, Idaho, and catching up with Nate Miller, the head coach at AC Boise. Okay, that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Morning Espresso. Morning Espresso, your newsletter, your audio, your video, and it is the way to start your day. All across the board. And so brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University. Jason kind of tours the planet, lets you know about all your headlines, what to look at for today in a bunch of different ways. Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can get the newsletter. And you can also set your notifications on video and audio when it comes to the podcast version of Morning Espresso or the video version of Morning Espresso. And so that's where we are with that. And we can't thank Morning Espresso and Oglethorpe University for being partners with us here at SDH, as we are we're in season number 10 this week, season 10. So it's SDH-X, I guess. Tomorrow, right now, it's pretty normal, the power hour from 10 to 11. It's going to be Nino and Nico. A lot of stuff going on in Major League Soccer we got to talk about. We got to talk about Xabi Alonso. We'll discuss that with our buddy Nino Torres coming up tomorrow. Still efforting a bunch of guests across the board. So if anything happens in hour number 1, we're going to be reviewing AFCON tomorrow. We're probably going to have some goals for you and things like that. So we're going to be reviewing AFCON tomorrow in hour number 1. Semifinals today. We'll set up the final this weekend. So we'll get through AFCON in hour number 1 tomorrow. Nino and Nico in hour number 2. Now, Friday, keep your fingers crossed. We're going to catch up with our friends, hopefully, at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. We caught up with Parky, and we got to see what's going on in Michael Parkhurst's world last Friday to kind of start our 2026 involving everything there. Then 10 o'clock our time, East Coast time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in England. Right now, it looks like we're going to have the majority owner of Macclesfield FC on, Robert Smethurst. We're going to find out what it's like for them to have gotten the win over Crystal Palace and what the vibe has been like for this Phoenix club. We're going to get into the story about where Rob doesn't remember buying the club. We'll get into all that stuff. And at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, he's going to join us, discuss the win over Crystal Palace, what it's been like for this Phoenix club ever since. And so right now, that's where it is on Friday. Hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals, but Rob Smethurst, the owner of the majority owner of the Smethurst family, Rob, the majority owner of Macclesfield FC, the 6th-tier club that knocked off Crystal Palace, set to join us at 10 o'clock our time Friday morning. So that's going to be very, very cool there as well. So that's your rundown for the rest of the week. And once again, if we're still efforting guests on a couple of different fronts, and so if we can plug them in, we'll certainly do that as well. Some of them are incredibly busy this time of year, and we will find out what it looks like for all of them going forward. Okay, so now news of the morning, and we'll start off, obviously, when you get the picture taken, then it is officially official. Manchester City has signed Sam Coffey from Portland Thorns contract until summer of 2029. The fee for Coffey, £600,000, so it comes out to about $875,000. Jeff Kassouf, Ben Jacobs et al. Racing through that this morning, and so it is a completion of the signing. Charlotte Harper cleared to travel to England back on January 8th. City's been working on a potential transfer for about the last 12 months, 3.5-year deal through 2029. Sam Coffey said, quote, City really stood out from the get-go, first and foremost, style of play. When I watched the team play, the girls look and seem happy, and they seem so close and connected. I think I'm at a place in my career where I feel ready and settled in as a pro. Feels like the right time to really challenge myself in this way, end quote. Spent the entirety of her professional career at Portland after being drafted out of Penn State in 2022. Won the NWSL title in her debut season, led the side to the playoffs last time out. And you get a quote from Jeff Agus that is a part of all of that. And so what was the number that was attached to it? I think it was $875 US from Jeff Kassouf, and Portland demands City now official. $875,000 plus add-ons. Obviously, it's a major loss for the Thorns and for the NWSL. So the base transfer fee is $875. You get add-ons that are attached to that going forward. So big loss, obviously, for Portland. What are they going to do to try to recap that loss? That reminds me, we probably need to have our friend Jen Hildreth in as in addition to KCD and Jess Charman, and we'll catch up with them as the winter break is another 2 weeks, and then the NWSL will kick it back in. And we'll see what it looks like for them. Speaking of Ben Jacobs, man's been busy. Once again, no real shock that Ben has been busy. But here is the rundown of stuff from our friend Ben Jacobs, by the way. So a lot of different places and a lot of different pieces of news. And we've got Spurs have confirmed that Fabio Paratici is going to leave in February to join Fiorentina. Quote from Venai Venkatesham as Paratici goes away. Crystal Palace in talks with Angers for 19-year-old attacker Siddiqui Sharif. Fabrice Hawkins first in the barn with that one. No agreement yet. Discussions at an advanced stage. Angers won around €25 million for the France Youth International, who was also eligible for Guinea. Lucas Paquetá still pushing for a move for Flamengo, but the Brazilian has not gone on strike, turned up to training as normal today. Those close to Paquetá, according to Ben Jacobs, confirm he's still recovering from a back issue. Remains to be seen whether he's involved in the game against Spurs. Flamengo have had a €40 million offer rejected. Lincoln City, we know that they are really hurting right now when it comes to ownership and finances. They confirm that Liquid Investments is seeking to become the club's controlling shareholder. Ron Fowler assuming position of chair. follows a board proposal by Fowler in December for Liquid to increase their shareholding to above 1/4. Formal steps now underway in the EFL. Changing the ownership structure is not expected to alter any January transfer plans. They're second in League One right now, pushing for promotion. No personnel changes anticipated across the leadership team and day-to-day as a part of this proposed increased stake in ownership. Clive Nate's remaining as part of the club. Jay Wright is co-vice chair. Morocco forward Youssef En-Nesyri is on the radar of Everton, with Fenerbahce prepared to sanction an exit focused on AFCON. Things could advance after the tournament. En-Nesyri is also on Forest's radar, but Olympiacos' Mehdi Taremi is their leading choice as it stands right now. Now, also, yesterday in the Manchester City-Newcastle match, and this probably is something that we might be getting into with Bart come Monday if it still remains to be a bit of an issue. There was a VAR. There was a VAR moment, because if you say VAR review, video assistant referee review, it kind of gets a little, VARR. So there was a VAR moment where Antoine Semenyo's second goal, which would have been the third on the day by the end for Manchester City, took 5 minutes to review. 5 minutes in the League Cup semi. Lengthened due to the semi-automated offside technology not being available, often down to players blocking views of balls and players and system camera lines. PGMO are aware of the lengthy VAR delays causing frustration. VAR intervention time now on average, according to them, is under 50 seconds, 5-0. Premier League is the lowest VAR intervention rate in European football. According to Jacobs, and officials are encouraged to avoid forensic exams in order to maintain the referee's call. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, 5 minutes. And Pep Guardiola obviously was pretty hot about that yesterday, about that having that goal wiped off the board. But a 5-minute VAR incident yesterday doesn't really go well when it comes to the increase of players and such. Roma have reached an agreement on Daniel Malen, a loan with a conditional obligation of £25 million. Atletico Madrid also kicked the tires on it. He wants to move to play more regularly as a lead striker. Villa is in the market for a new forward, Tammy Abraham. We talked about him yesterday. He is a part of that process and might be under consideration for Villa. Philip Otele is set to leave Basel in the winter. Basel reduced their asking price, considering offers in excess of €7 million. Birmingham City remain interested. Wolves have Otele as one of the several names on their list. Lazio, Celtic, and Bournemouth also have inquired. 13 goal contributions this season, close to joining Fulham last year. Ajax have confirmed Maximilian Ibrahimovic is joined on loan from Milan till the end of the year. And the agreement includes an option to buy. Yes, the last name is the last name, following in the footsteps of his dad, who had 3 years at Ajax himself. Conor Gallagher passed his medical at Spurs. He's going to sign that 5.5-year deal. And so that's going to be in the books as well. So that's just some of the early returns from Ben this morning, as things are picking up steam here in the middle of the month when it comes to anything and everything going on in the transfer window, transfer markets, and such. Now, domestically, there's a lot going on. Once again, we'll have our high school review coming up in about 7 minutes. A lot going on domestically, and we mentioned Daniel Edelman yesterday, going from Red Bulls to City. In the NWSL, Chicago traded Ludmila to the Wave for $800,000. 800,000 Berman bucks. And it was, you're getting into that territory of a lot of these moves. Now they are going into that territory of high 6, low 7. You're getting into that. You're getting into that kind of a space of real estate right now, and so it's really interesting to see that the talent is getting to that level. And once again, it's one of the biggest moves in the offseason. You get that, and that's $800,000 initially. With incentives, it could go north of 7 figures, and you're looking at San Diego looking to improve in 2026, and you pick up Ludmila for $800,000. It could be another $200,000 more in incentives. We mentioned Linda Ullmark yesterday for the Houston Dash, signing through 29, and her career was at North Carolina. She had a title there in 24, And so you have an immediate contributor there with Houston and Linda Olmark. Boston Legacy adding yet another piece. Boston acquiring Canadian international Nichelle Prince from Kansas City. Deal gets a 26 international roster spot, and you're looking at Boston trying to once again get depth and flexibility as a part of their group. We mentioned Caitlin Carducci yesterday as a part of the Orlando Pride now as their new general manager, as she left Kansas City after the playoff exit last year. We mentioned the Houston Dynamo signing Guilherme, the Brazilian winger. Deal about $2 million from Santos, and you're looking at him as a DP, if I'm not mistaken. So you get to add there. Fire have invested in MLS in 21-year-old winger Puso Dithjan from TS Galaxy with a U22 slot to bring in the player from South Africa. Recent form a hat trick this year. Once again, you're looking at a possible sub as he integrates and maybe a longer-term starter for Greg Berhalter. Orlando City is looking to part ways with Luis Muriel, and it's looking like it's going to be Junior in Colombia. Transfer opens up a DP slot for the Purple team, and Luis Muriel was not around on the first day of training camp. So that kind of scratches your head. You sit there and go, well, why is that? Well, the answer is, looks like he's being moved to Colombia. Griffin Yao, it looks like he's coming back to the States. Looks like it's a 4-year deal with the Revs after a stint with Westerlo. 400,000 euro on the transfer. And so the Revs look at Griffin Yao, and they're looking at his upside there coming up in 2026. That's the year we're in. All right, so FC Cincinnati have brought in winger Christian Fletcher as a homegrown, getting his rights from DC United. And you have him working his way back from injury. So FC Cincinnati sees an upside in Christian Fletcher. So there's a bit of an investment there. Philadelphia Union, and the graphic was official yesterday, so it is officially official. Jafet Seri Larsen from SK Brann in Norway comes in to help out at the back line for it. So it's another center back for Bradley Carnell. Then Josh Wolf was announced yesterday to be added to the Cameron Knowles staff at Minnesota United. So Cameron Knowles coming up to MLS to coach first team soccer. Josh Wolf, you get that experienced ear and that experienced voice with him. And it is with his time in the Western Conference, Cameron Knowles coming up to be the first team head coach. You've got that sounding board for Cameron Knowles when it comes to the league and navigating it. So Josh Wolf, now first team assistant in Minneapolis for Minnesota United and helping out Cam Knowles. So that was a lot of the activity that has happened in the overnight and the overday and all that kind of stuff. And so that's where we are with all of the movement that we know. And I say the movement that we know. Traditionally, there's a movement that will end up happening while we're on the air. And so we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff as we go. Once again, a lot of movement in Major League Soccer as everybody's starting to get into training camps. And today for Atlanta United, Tata Martino is set to speak to the assembled media. And so we will find out what happens with Tata and the media as they're in their first week of training camp here in 2026. There is also, and let me double check this before we get into, let me see if my search engine's correct. So let me see if we can get into the proper terminology here. So if I could type Thiago Almada, we'd be trying to figure out what's going on. There is, and remember the last word that we had was on Christmas Eve, that Botafogo had been banned for the next 3 transfer windows because they still haven't settled up with Atlanta United. And you're talking about something akin to $30 million. That's kind of where we are. $30 million right now Botafogo owes Atlanta United because of transfer fees and interest and judgments and all of that. So word came out yesterday that, and this is literally, it was one sentence from our friend Doug Robertson of the AJC, nearing a resolution on Almada payments. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, all right, so if that's cool, what is it? But we do not know. You have folks that are saying it. And once again, this is where you check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. And I mean, check your sources in this. You have news report out of Brazil. And this is a 280 character app follow of 70 1,000 plus. So, okay, a lot of folks follow where they are in the tiers. We don't know. Botafogo's advanced in negotiations with Atlanta United to resolve the debt, lift the transfer ban imposed by FIFA. And this is attached to Globo. SAF board members consider the matter settled, and in the U.S., there are indications that the clubs are close to an agreement. Details of the talks remain under wraps. So that's kind of where we are with that. So close to, and frankly, as long if it's not anything we're in the realm of, we're going to pay you the full 30. Then I'm like, all right, so that would be the be all and end all of the discussion. Fine. We're $31 million. Cool. Then it's settled. If it's something where it's less than that, we're back into the wimpy way of paying things. We'll gladly pay you Tuesday for our transfer ban today. That I want to know the logistics of this. Maybe Atlanta United is going to take a lump sum payment of something close to it. I don't know. But we don't know the terms. Folks are saying in both Brazil and in the U.S. that they're close. The two parties are close, Botafogo and Atlanta United. So we'll see what happens there. All right, 9:30. And now it's time to have some it's going to be an interesting conversation that we have about what's going on in high school soccer here in the state of Georgia. And this is where we get to be joined by a lot of folks. We get two coaches from Valdosta and one from Thomas County Central, and it is time to bring them all in. And it is a conversation with Matt Tanner and Ben Davis and Cody Case, and we get to bring them all in here. It looks like that Matt might be wandering the halls a bit, and it looks like Ben is in his car and Cody's in a car. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for dropping by. Do you need notes to get back into class at 10 o'clock?
No, we're actually at.
No, we're good.
Ben, are you and Cody in the same car?
We're actually at our region meeting right now. We're waiting.
Oh, you're at the region meeting, right, Cody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And so Matt is hiding in school. Okay, so here we go. What I wanted to do, guys, was this. I wanted to find out what you thought about the clinic itself that happened this past weekend, and I wanted folks to try and understand where each of your programs is when it comes to soccer and its how it's being embraced on campus in the community, all those kinds of things. And so what I will do is start with Matt, and I'm just doing this in an order of me staring at you, so it's not one of these where I'm going to pick on somebody. So let me go to Matt first. And so, Matt, let me ask you this. When you heard about the clinic itself, what did you think about the idea of the clinic when it came to the fore and you found out about the clinic? What'd you think?
I think the connection's going in and out. Can you ask that again? I'm sorry.
Matt, you might. Yeah, just going to say, when you found out about the clinic itself, what was your first impression? I think because Matt might be indoors, encased in concrete. Matt, I might have you walk outside your nearest door and go outside campus, or go outside the inside of the school there itself. So, Matt, go ahead and if you can wander out to a place that's got less concrete, that would be cool. Ben, you are outside, and it looks like a pretty decent day. So let me ask you, Ben, when you found out about the idea of the clinic itself, what stuck in your head about this as an idea there in South Georgia?
Well, one, it's a great opportunity for us as coaches to get educated. I'm a 15-year educator, 15-year coach in multiple sports. But any time that we're given the opportunity to get education, especially from someone such as high level as Dave, it was absolutely phenomenal to get information and information to be shared with us and get to see it put out on the field with some of our athletes, getting the ability to be out there and learn from him and also work with him.
Good deal. Matt, I see that you are wandering and attempting to escape the concrete. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you what it was like for you to know that this clinic existed and what your impressions were when you got there to the clinic and what you took from it.
coach.
Oh, he's still fighting it.
But
He's still
for me, I think it was just good to get. Obviously, we're trying to build the soccer programs in and around South Georgia, North Florida, and all of that. So I think it was good to get together. And I was kind of excited to see it. And I think, again, like I said, it was a good refresher for a lot of us on how to build sessions from start to finish and incorporate all aspects of it.
Okay. Cody, I think Cody is trying to exit his vehicle. Cody and Ben are at the region meeting. And so let me know if you need, for the region head, if you guys need a note to get back into the region meetings there. Ben, let me ask you as a follow-up. How much did you learn when you were at this meeting, and whether it's on the field, off the field, what did you learn when you were there?
So I think the big thing about an educational chance like this is kind of roundtabling, is being able to listen to Dave kind of propose some different things in different areas, talking about formation of play, culture of program, but then he kind of threw some questions at us and said, "Hey, as a group, discuss this. As a group, have communication with this." And as coaches from all around South Georgia, we were able to kind of bring community together and discuss, hey, this is what goes on in our programs when we work these kind of stuff. This is what goes on in here. And it's very helpful. I mean, again, it's a community aspect to us and being able to learn, but then being also to be able to community and to work together in developing stuff is very key for the development of soccer in South Georgia.
Okay, so Cody, I know that you and Matt are fighting signal strength and all this kind of stuff. So then let me ask my questions quickly, and you guys can talk about these kinds of things. Ben was letting me know about what he was learning in this situation. Cody, what did you take away from the clinic?
I thought that it was a good national team, the national youth teams. And so, he maybe brought some expertise from a perspective that, maybe doing our own research or our own experience.
Oh, Cody's fighting it. I'm not surprised.
That we haven't seen before, to my teams.
Matt, let me ask you this. I'll ask Ben, and since I asked Cody this question last week, I know what Cody's perspective is. So the next question is going to be for Matt and Ben. And Matt, let me start with you. How would you characterize support for the Thomas County Central soccer program, both boys and girls? How would you characterize what the level of support is there in Thomasville? He's fighting concrete. So Matt's fighting concrete. Here we go. Hang on. Let me bring Matt back in here. And I can't thank you guys enough for drifting in region meetings and escaping class. Matt, if you can hear me through the concrete there at 84 in Thomasville Road, when it comes to the program in and of itself and the support, how would you characterize this level of support for the soccer programs that are attached to whether it's Thomas County Middle or Thomas County High? All right. It looks like we're still having connectivity stuff with Matt. So then, Ben, let me ask you, when it comes to level of support for your side of the program there at Valdosta, how would you characterize it from what you've been able to glean so far?
We're definitely a growing program. We were one of the original soccer towns in the early '90s for Valdosta, and it's kind of drifted some. But there's definitely a rebuilding era of what's going on. Both programs, you got Valdosta and Lowndes right here in one town. But it's a growing community of soccer. We've got Valdosta FC that has come in, a little semi-professional team that's got both a men's and a women's, and the support from the community is it's kind of a growing air. There's a lot of support. Cody and I are brand new coaches here in Valdosta, and we're growing. We're getting our names out and getting our faces out around town, and our players. We're starting to see a little influx of players coming in that are coming out from our schools, going, "Oh man, we heard about you. We're excited about soccer coming." We got middle school. Both of those teams have seen growth this year in numbers that have shown up for tryouts and participation, and it's definitely a growing era of soccer growing in the South Georgia area.
Okay, so then Matt, let me see. Matt, you got your ears on? How good are you here? Can you hear me? I think Matt's still kind of struggling with signal and such. So then, Ben, let me ask you this, Ben. When it comes to the what you learned there at the clinic, how many folks were there? Just to give you just to give me an idea, how many folks were actually at this clinic that were coaches that you could learn from and sit there and just kind of sit there and do all of the workshopping and the sharing of intel and information? How many folks were there?
We had, I want to say 13 or 14 coaches from, I think, 5, 6 different schools there, which this was the first of its kind, really. I've been involved in the soccer in the area for about 5 years now. And this is kind of the first of the area, especially open specifically for high school, middle school coaches. So I was very happy to see with the number that we did have and the ability that there is a chance for some growth in community there.
All right, Matt, let me Matt, wow. Matt is having a hard time there in the concrete. So Ben, it's going to be you and me until Cody can find a safe location, and Matt hopefully can escape the concrete there at Thomas County Central. I mean, when it comes to, and I know I don't want to get into wins and losses. I don't want to really get into the wins and losses aspect of things. But you mentioned Valdosta FC. We had them on as one of our Red Clay reports over the weekend. So we know what Luke and Christian and everybody are trying to accomplish there and have that growth. They play up at North Lowndes, and they're getting 500-600 and things like that. Let me ask you this, and this is meant to be an inquisitive thought, but it might end up being a direct question. What do you need right now, whether it's support in the school, support in the community? What are you chasing after here in 2026 that you didn't have in 2025? What are those next things that you need to see the Valdosta program, whether it's yours or Cody's or both, to see it get to that next level? What do you need, you think?
It's growth in the community. I think from the bottom up. Like I said, it's kind of like this rebuilding air. So I mean, we're really kind of bringing back. We kind of lost the academy that was associated here, UFA. They moved up to Tifton, so we saw numbers kind of dwindle that were attending UFA from our school system. But we're seeing kind of a growing aspect of that attend back. Some numbers are starting to grow back and go back to tryouts and playing for academy with UFA. Or you have TASA down the road, some in Thomasville. We've got groups that are involved with that one. And we've even got some of our kids that have discussed trying out as upper high schoolers, trying out for Valdosta FC and stuff. But it's kind of growing that grassroots is having elementary school kids kicking that soccer ball around. We've got numbers that play soccer, but it's educating coaches, it's educating the players, getting them to play more soccer and more organized soccer is really what's the big growth that we truly need to see for 5, 6, 7 as the years go down the road. If we're going to continue to see growth, is that depth in numbers of who's played soccer, who's learned the skills of soccer to continue to grow.
Head girls coach at Valdosta High, Ben Davis, dropping by with us as a part of our South Georgia Roundtable. Cody Case, the boys coach, and Matt Tanner, who is one of the coaching staff at Thomas County Central. They are fighting concrete and region meetings to try and be a part of things this morning. What's your history, Ben? How did you end up at Valdosta?
So previously I was at Lanier County. I coached soccer there for 4 years. I was a head softball coach there for 2 years as well. I've been educator for 15 years between Eccles County, Cook County, and Lanier County, and lived in the Valdosta area. And when the opportunity to be close to home and back in Valdosta and have my toe in as part of Titletown and being part of the Wildcats, it was an awesome jump in and an easy jump in to be part of this historical school.
And I know that Eccles has been softball and baseball in the past. Cook, and for me it is Cook. Cook. It can be American football. It can be the other sports. It can be baseball that's attached to it too. Lanier County up there in Lakeland, we know what they're trying to build at the Rock with American football. If you can think back, and this might be going back, into your Rolodex a bit, that last 10 years, what has it been like in places like Eccles and Adel and Lakeland to even try to grow the game? How many of those schools had soccer programs? What has it been like in each of those stops for you to see where the game is to where you are right now at Valdosta?
It seems like everywhere I've stopped, it's kind of been its beginning programs. When I first moved to South Georgia in 2000 as a teenager, I moved to Albany, and soccer was gaining ground, and they were having their first club programs, and it was big, and it was growing, but it wasn't kind of like where I was coming from, the DC Baltimore area, where soccer was huge. And it's kind of in South Georgia, it's continued to grow. We're moving into 30 years strong in soccer coming around here, and it's still kind of just it's hitting those growth spurts. You got pockets, the Valdosta area, and some of those kids, especially in Eccles and in Adel and in Lakeland, some kids have played in Valdosta in games there. Some kids have had a little bit of experience with rec ball in their own areas. But it's really getting that education out there and in growth programs, and taking over and being the head coach at Lanier County. A lot of the girls that I coached there, middle school was the first time they ever touched a soccer ball. So 3 years in that program, and by the time we got to high school, we were teaching concepts that for some might have been high, that if they'd played soccer a lot, but in other areas they hadn't learned the higher end concepts of being on the pitch.
So now that you're there at Valdosta, and like I said, I had a bit of this conversation with Cody last week, but I want to have it with you. You know what sports mean there in the building. A couple of years ago, for those that don't know, it was a massive build, and so there's this brand spanking new high school out on the Loop Road, and it is state of the art stuff. Yes, you're still playing at Bazemore Hyder, which is really cool as a part of this growth, but you're seeing investment in infrastructure and all of these kinds of things. And so they know what sports mean across the board. And I'm just kind of wondering, you mentioned what it's like in 1-6A. It is a tough region to be in when it comes to whatever sport we're talking about. What's the back been like from the administration, knowing what you and Cody and the other coaches want to accomplish in the non-revenue? I'll use the word non-revenue sports. What's it been like from the feedback from the administration, knowing that you guys want to get to the next level too?
So far, it's been absolutely phenomenal. We were given great budgets to start kind of stepping into and taking care of some and upping things. That's been phenomenal assistance from our administration in that aspect of things. They've been very open to continuing and starting better conditioning programs, better workout programs, getting our kids access to those, and telling us to offer it, and they've been very supportive in that, and it's been a phenomenal off season, getting numbers to build. From what I was told, last year they had 4 or 5 girls in off season conditioning and workouts. This year we've had upwards of 39 girls showing up for workouts and stuff. So it's been a very phenomenal support and encouragement on the girls' side of things to growth.
4 and 5 to 39 in the off-season conditioning program?
Yeah, it's been pretty great.
I mean, so what is it like for them to have that bit of a wake-up call? It's like, no, this is something that really can get you to the next level, whether it's pre-professional, professional, college, whatever. What's it like to see the light come on for those student athletes, where you're having, what is that, it's almost like a 900% increase in the off-season conditioning program?
It's kind of just a big light come on growth. I think it's pretty awesome to see them and to see support. We got a great young group coming in. I got a pretty large freshman group coming in that's gonna in 4 years be a very, very, very good job to watch them grow up and become good soccer players. And I think that's kind of the lead catalyst, is some of these seniors have taken on and realized, hey, we got a chance to grow. We got a new coaching staff, a new this, and then the freshmen coming in, kind of pushing the upper ones. Hey, let's do this. Let's get better.
So you mentioned region. Well, what's going on at the region meeting? You can divulge if you want, or you can sit there and say nebulous sound bites just to say something and put it on tape. But can you give me? Is it going to be a coach's sound bite, or are you going to let me know what's going on at the region meeting?
Well, it looks like this is my first attempt at one of these kind of things, so it looks like it's kind of a planning thing for 27. Kind of looking forward for those kind of things. We're meeting and discuss a little nuances of this year, but kind of looking at next year's stuff with the reclassification.
How much when you went to the when you went to the clinic? It was a pretty good session of back and forth with the other dozen or so coaches and finding out what they're missing and what they've got and comparing notes and kind of things.
Yeah, it was really kind of just a data kind of push. You kind of talked about what we had. What do you how do you establish gameplay and for somebody who's coming from smaller schools and stuff, it's almost like the culture of your game changed every year, and we discussed a lot of that even with bigger schools you may see that with numbers. You may have a year where you need to be more defensive. You got a year where you got some top strikers, you can push the ball and you can go be aggressive and stuff. And so discussing a lot of aspects of the game of how to build stuff was very key. And that
So,
was
no, I mean, just when you get that kind of feedback, is there a plan for a sequel? Is there an idea of having another one of these clinics down the road? I know that you're getting into training camp yourself, but was there talk about a sequel?
Definitely. We've discussed making this a yearly thing and maybe even trying to make it a bigger thing. I know being affiliated with other sports. I've been in baseball and the softball realm of things. They have their clinics where it's a big, large game. You get lots of speakers. And talking with Dave, and he told us he can give us some connections to create some actual larger clinics where maybe we can bring in some numbers to help discuss with high school coaches and give high school coaches access to a lot of materials and wealth of knowledge to help the game out in South Georgia.
How has your coaching style and just DNA changed going from the single A's to the double A's to now the 6A? How has your DNA changed?
Uh, really hasn't. I'm kind of looking forward to bringing that aspect to it. Is using my eyes for athletes, being able to relate to maybe a basketball player, to a track runner and stuff, and be able to get them involved in the game of soccer. They may have a little bit of soccer experience, but what can they do to get involved in soccer and using that eye for finding athletes and bringing them into the game?
Okay. So are you standing out in the parking lot at insert school name to be named later? Where are you actually?
Yeah, we're actually meeting in Douglas, sitting in a restaurant parking lot.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with Douglas because there's some fine food that you can have there as you guys are getting ready for what's going on at coffee. Do you see Cody in the parking lot?
He is. He's around here. He's having a conversation with the coach right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so then do
Oop.
the journalistic part where you go diving into a conversation like it's live TV. Just
All right.
go wander over
Okay.
and
I'll see if I can grab him out of this conversation.
yeah, well, just is it we got to first off, if it's a soccer conversation, we definitely want to have it as a
It looks like it's a little level above that.
uh-oh.
But I'll see if I can get him out there in a second.
Yeah, just when he finishes a sentence, just say that we've still got 7 minutes in the segment. We still
I got you. I got you.
But so where did you guys stop for breakfast, by the way, in Douglas?
We both made pre-stops. We met up and drove up here beforehand.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
and for those that may not know, going from Valdosta to Douglas, yes, it is kind of a Wiregrassy Parkway kind of thing, but it is not something where it is just like hopping into an Uber.
A lot of fields, a lot of ponds, a lot of swamplands. Not a lot of deer this morning, so that was a blessing.
Yes, no doubt. Especially if there wasn't any fog or anything in the woods that you're having to traverse and going from point A to point B. When is training camp kick in for you?
Monday afternoon, we start rolling.
Okay. How many student athletes are you looking to have this year?
I'm looking at about 39, which is a pretty good number for us for comparing it to what they've had in the past couple of years.
And when it comes to having 39 for you, I mean, how are you going to navigate having basically almost 4 starting 11s if you were to just measure it out that way? How do you navigate having 39 student athletes?
A lot of development. Like I said, within our program right now, we got a lot of development needing to go on. Between me and my coaching staff, we're going to be doing a lot of practicing and a lot of evaluations on what we need to be seeing at top level with varsity and what development needs to be happening at the JV level.
Where do you think you're strongest right now on the field, and where do you think you might need the most work?
Our strongest is definitely going to be up top. I got a couple good seniors that have been with the program and have been successful on the top, and we've got a few freshmen that are actually going to pop in there as well up top that are probably going to lead us. Our biggest help is going to be is growing on the defense, but a lot of it has to do with understanding the game in the back, and that's really the biggest change that I think that we're going to see growth in there.
Okay, so when somebody wanders in the door and sees you for the first time, are you a 4 at the back? Do you do a 3-5-2? How are you formationally and philosophically?
That's gonna be one of those that may change depending on situation, but I do love a 3-5-2, especially with girls soccer. It brings kind of an air of change.
All right, so how long did it take for you to figure out, yeah, this is me? And so I dig a 3-5-2, and I know what it can bring to the table.
I like chaos. I'm a big chaos person. Of what can we find a way to cause chaos in the game? And I look as much as I love soccer and I've been around soccer, but sometimes we get and I think the way it was talked about in the clinic was it gets a little ticky tacky of a lot of people playing 4-2-3-1s, and I want to find something that can kind of change that up.
Nothing. I see. Now, I like the idea of creating chaos, especially in a region that is as tough as 1-6A. I really dig that idea. When's your first game?
February 10th, I believe.
Okay.
10th, 11th, somewhere around there.
Okay. And so, do you and Cody have a shared schedule?
We do. We did our best this year. We kind of, one of the things we focused in is he and I have kind of come together. We first time we've ever met and been apart, but we said we really wanted to create a schedule. We're combined where the boys are girls cheerleaders and the girls are boys cheerleaders to help each other be successful.
And I mean, and the student body obviously is big in this regard. So, do you know how supportive they've been in the past? What you're looking like when it comes to the support from the student body in games like this?
Really, we've kind of actually been an encouragement. We've talked with our admin about actually building up, trying to find a game where if we can find a sponsor, hey, every student that walks in here can come in. We've talked about getting out the drum line from the band to come kind of get everybody pumped up before a game or something like that. Those kind of big things to get in. You get more students involved because the students have been involved. It's just with football in the fall, man, you got Friday nights and football. But when you get to the spring, everybody kind of gets spread out between baseball and soccer and all else going on. But trying to get that student body to show up and support our Cats.
Yeah, because I know that Wintersville, I think, is the 4th match of the year.
It is.
And that's that one is that one's not a bad match, but the 4th match of the year. I mean, that's going to be pretty tough. When's the Colquitt match? When is that one down the line?
I think that'd be a little bit more further down the road for us. I think that one's probably the 4th or 5th week of the season there.
Because I was trying to figure out what match you could do with the administration to sit there and just open the gates at Bazemore Hyder and just have everybody come charging in. I was trying to think of one that's not Colquitt and one that's not Wintersville, where everybody just open the doors and everybody can show up. I'm trying. So
I did grab Case.
Oh, there he is. So I know that Cody. First off, thanks for doing all the legwork for. Ben, turn your phone 45 degrees. There we go. That way now you're both in the frame. So, Cody, thanks for doing the legwork on this. We had a great conversation with Ben. What I would like to do, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before we get out of here. And I know that Matt, I'll catch up with Matt as well and have a separate conversation with him. What were some of your big takeaways from the clinic?
Having a new perspective. Dave Simeone, the coach that came down, he is very experienced. He's coached with the national youth team. He brought in some concepts that I hadn't considered. Hey, and I a couple ideas that I was like, that's so simple. Why have I never thought about that before? And so, that I can take and apply to my team.
So how big is the Rolodex now when it comes to, talking to other coaches and things like that? And you're going, yeah, I need to talk to you about something. How many phone numbers did you walk away with?
I got a couple more. Like I said, when we talked last week, that my little my group of coaches here, we've been very good talking to each other. We've been yapping about JV scheduling and ninth grade game scheduling and varsity scheduling for now and in the future. And so we've had a little bit of contact already.
And we were I was catching up with Ben, trying to figure out a match day where the administration could help you out and just kind of open the floodgates and just have everybody show up at Bazemore Hyder. That's not Wintersville and it's not Colquitt. And so we were trying to workshop the schedule and figure out, okay, where can we get the most bang for our buck when it comes to students walking in the door? I wanted to ask you about administration support as well and things like that. You're looking at training camp coming up. It's shared match days with Ben when it comes to boys and girls. What are you looking forward to the most coming into the 26th season?
Honestly, it's just breaking a lot of these bad streaks and records that the team has been on. My senior class has won 10 varsity games. Valdosta boys soccer has not won a region game in 3 years. Valdosta boys have not been to the playoffs in 4 years. We haven't, Valdosta hasn't beat Lowndes in 3 years. We have not beat Colquitt since 2013. There's a lot of things and a lot of records and a lot of streaks that we are trying to break as we build this new program. Our boys program has 197 wins. Our football program is doing the road to 1,000. We're doing the road to 200 this year. And so, there's a lot of good things, that a lot of milestones we'll be able to cross just here in year one.
Well, that, and I don't want to wish any L's in your program early on, but if that third win happened to be at Wintersville in that fourth match of the season, that would be a good one to have your 200th. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you. Ideally, our third win will come in our third game of the season, and we'll wait till the fourth.
There you go. That's what I was hunting for. I can't thank you enough for doing the legwork in this. I know that you and Ben are at the region meeting there at a lovely restaurant to be hidden away from the rest of us there in Douglas at Coffee High and everything. And I'm going to catch up with Coach Skinner, and I want to set up a separate conversation with him because I think he was encased in concrete there at 84 and 300. So I want to catch up with him later. Okay. If it's cool with you, can we have this as a running conversation as we go this year when it comes to anything and everything going on down there in South Georgia? Because our schedule ramps up in about a month. We're going to be hitting the road, doing all of our games and things like that. Is it cool to continue to keep ducking our head in the door and seeing how things evolve down there in Region 16A?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an open door for anybody who wants to come talk about Valdosta or soccer in South Georgia. We love it.
All right. Well, I can't thank you guys enough, and thank you for doing the legwork. And I will shoot an email to Coach Skinner over there at Thomas County Central and set up a separate conversation with him about how things are. Get back to your region meeting. If you need a note from me, if you're going to get in any trouble for talking loud in the back of the classroom, let me know. I'll send you a note, and then hopefully whoever the is in charge there at the region meeting will take it from me. So I appreciate you and Ben's time, and thanks again for especially doing this on the fly and helping educate everybody when it comes to high school soccer down there in South Georgia.
Awesome. Thank you. And go Cats.
There we go. That's the way to end that conversation. So that's Cody Case, Ben Davis, the coaches at Valdosta High. And thanks to all of you guys for being patient there as well. I know that early on it was kind of a little rough when it came to coaches and concrete and parking lots and things like that. And so thanks for listening and being a part of that conversation as we go. All right, we're in hour number 2. And coming up around the corner, we'll get you through another couple of news stories that we have, get you ready for the remainder of the day. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, it's head coach Nate Miller from AC Boise. And it's a chance for us to get the progress report there, find out what's going on with him, and find out what the lay of the land is as he's hitting the road, and he's going to be trying to find things that are going on in and around all of USL League One. Natural rivalries are going to be poking their head in the door, and it's been fun for us to go from point A to point B, find out about the jersey, find out about its development, find out about what it's like to get a new coach, find out what it's like to be in a city that has just gone absolutely crazy for this opportunity for professional soccer in USL League One. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. We've got some news and notes to get into also, and then what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis. That's later on in the show as well. Here in hour number 2, It's an opportunity for us to continue our coverage of the birth and match day one of the OFC Pro League. And for us there, it has been really cool to catch up with South Island United. Jason wrote a really cool feature on David Yu, who we caught up with, and you heard that interview yesterday. And so there's a really cool moments for the hometown guy playing for the hometown team, and he's going into a derby in match week 1 against Auckland FC. And I think all the games are going to be available on FIFA Plus. So if you want to hop in and you want to kind of keep an eye on what's going on there as this league continues, because once again, this is a league that has been thought of for a long time, and it is finally happening. And so we've been able to catch up with folks that are attached to Solomon Kings. We've been able to catch up with folks attached to South Island United. And now it's our opportunity to catch up with Auckland FC. Director of Football Terry McFlynn, we were able to catch up with him and find out what's going on there at Auckland. And remember that Auckland is a part of the Black Knight portfolio. And that's where, for those of you that may not necessarily know about Black Knight, that is an opportunity for Bournemouth and the rest of the teams in the Black Knight portfolio to interact with each other. And so who knows, maybe you'll see some folks from Auckland FC working their way up to Bournemouth, etc. And also Auckland is the home for Ronan Wynn. And so for those of you with Atlanta United 2 ties and thoughts, Ronan Wynn is now at Auckland FC here for the 2026 season, and we are going to be catching up with him in a later interview. But we did catch up once again with Terry McFlynn, Director of Football at Auckland FC, to find out what it's been like for him getting ready for match day 1. And like match day one, the first ever match day for this league in Oceania. So here's our conversation with Terry McFlynn to get the Auckland FC perspective as they get ready for match week number 1. So, Terry, my first question is, how's the heart rate right now as you're getting closer and closer to a first ever?
Yeah, it looks a really exciting time for our football club, John, to be an inaugural team in an inaugural competition in OFC. It's a milestone moment for the region and for us as a football club to be chosen as one of the 8 clubs to kick it off is a very special moment for us. So there's a lot of hard work that's gone in behind the scenes since we were a preferred club. Obviously putting the team together, putting the staff together, logistics, training kit, playing kit. So yeah, look, it's be a real proud moment for us on Saturday night.
All right. So having to do all of these different things at like 900 miles an hour, have you had time to kind of sit there and go, man, we really are on the precipice of doing something really special? Or is it just focused on making sure that the kits arrive on time, that they're the right size, that, the lettering and the logos are everything, and the travel and the visas and everything? Do you have time to sit back and enjoy it? Or is it pretty much, let's just get to match day 1?
Yeah, look, it was pretty much a sprint from the start, John. Once we knew we were a preferred club and we were in, we set about identifying the coaching staff that we want to bring in, medical team, and then obviously getting the players in as well. And the logistics around visa rules in the competition, something that we're used to obviously in the A-League with our other team, was a little bit different in this competition. But yeah, again, it was another opportunity, as our owner, Mr. Bill Foley, said he wanted to create opportunities for as many Kiwi players as possible. And this was another opportunity for us to put another professional team in the region.
And you look at all of this, for someone who hasn't seen football out of Oceania, no matter which country we're attached to here, what are folks missing out on by not knowing about what's going on down there, either nationally, professionally, what have you?
Oh, look, there's a lot of talent in the Pacific Islands. It's an opportunity for, like we said, 8 professional clubs now in the region here. It's a unique thing. It's never been done before. And I think it's something that the region has been crying out for a long, long time. And I think if we go back 15, 20 years when, people started to talk about African nations, and, we now have the African Nations Cup, which is on at the minute, World Cups. We regularly see African teams in the latter stages of the competition. And, I hope that Oceania Pro League can add to that and help the national teams here and see more teams progressing through into the World Cup.
When you look at talent assembly, all the front office assembly, I assume that your WhatsApp is blowing up, your phone is blowing up. What has the response been like for folks that were interested from the beginning to be a part of something that is absolutely new?
Yeah, look, for us, John, we started the football club in 2023, entered the A-League in 2024, and one thing that we said was we want to be a team from the community for the community. It's something that we really engaged in and something that we take a lot of pride in. And with the Oceania Pro League now, this was another opportunity for us to have a further reach into the community, into the Pacific community, which is in Auckland, it is one of the most diverse multicultural cities in the world. So for us, the Pacific community is a very, very important piece of our football club. It's something that we take a lot of pride in, and to represent that region in the Oceania is a very proud moment for us.
And you're coming out of the blocks with a game that is a rivalry already. For someone who wouldn't know about North versus South and what you're going into for match day one, how would you break down rivalries and how one half of the country views the other half?
Yeah, look, I think I've only been in New Zealand for 18 months, so I'm still trying to get my head around it as well. But I think that the beauty about football in particular is that fans love rivalries. They love a derby as such. So we have it in the A-League when we play Wellington Phoenix, and now we have it in the OFC Pro League when we play South Island United. So I think it's something that the whole country's been crying out for. For 18 years, there was only one professional club in the whole country, and now we've got 3 within 18 months. So it's something that you walk around the streets, and you see the kids with the jerseys on, you see them trying to emulate their heroes in the playground. So it's just a joy to be part of and bring that much joy and excitement to people's lives.
When you get to do something like this, I would imagine that I don't know if you can go into a store and sit there and it's like, I'm just trying to shop and I'm trying to get like my Doritos and my liquid and everything. I'm just trying to get all gassed up and everything. Are people stopping you with the anticipation level and understanding what's going on here? Are you recognized? Are anybody wearing the golf shirts recognized? Do you guys get to shop at the grocery store in peace? What's the response been like?
Oh, look, the response has been fantastic, and all our principal partners and apparel partners, New Balance, have been fantastic. The boys have been on billboards all over the city, and it's something that again, we take a lot of pride in representing this community in another region, another part of the world. So we obviously have the A-League team. We play in Australia every second week, and then now to be playing in the islands in different circuits every month, it really expands our brand right across Australasia into Oceania. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in.
And a name that folks actually in Atlanta that follow Atlanta United and Atlanta United 2 are intimately familiar with, that we look in the transactions page, or at least I do because I'm a certain age. You notice that Ronan Wynn is now a part of things down there. So, when it comes to style of play, we know what Ronan can bring to the table. When it comes to style of play, what can folks anticipate from Auckland here in the OFC Pro?
Yeah, look, we're very fortunate, John, that we're part of a multi-club ownership structure in the Black Knight football club. So the philosophy is very apparent and very evident across all the clubs. We like to play a high tempo, possession-based game of football. It'll be a little bit different in terms of the press inside of the game. Obviously, with the heat in the islands, we'll have to probably sit back a little bit and try and hit teams on the counter attack and pressing quick, attractive football. But certainly from our side of things, we'll be looking to play attractive football in the front third, a lot of combination play, shots on goal, and try and score as many goals as we possibly can and bring joy to the fans.
And you're getting to do this in a hub format, which makes it challenging at times. I would imagine 3 matches in as much as 10 days or something of that kind. I know that just because of logistics, and I make this, it's like you can't just hop in an Uber and go to Papua New Guinea to play a fixture. The hub structure obviously is a way to help out with scheduling and making everything come together. When it comes to navigating that idea and making sure that everyone's as healthy as they can be for 3 matches in 10, what were the discussions like to try to get the schedule in and ultimately come out with the hub idea?
Yeah, look, it's a new concept. It's something that, as you said, from a logistics and probably an economical perspective from the league, it makes sense. As you said, it's not just round the corner if you've got to go and play Solomon Islands on a Tuesday night and then back to play South Melbourne on a Saturday. So Look, I think it's a good format. It's something that I had experience with previously in the Asian Champions League when I was in a hub in Qatar. But yeah, look, this will be a unique opportunity, and again, it's an opportunity for our players to travel, visit different countries, different cultures. It's a life experience. But again, for us as a football club, our focus is on winning. So putting the schedule together, looking at the squad, looking at the training program, just making sure that we're robust and durable for them periods of time. Obviously, the travel each side of the hub. We're fortunate the first hub's going to be here in Auckland. Second circuit's in Papua New Guinea, then into Melbourne, Solomon Islands, Fiji, and then back to Auckland to finish it off. So we'll bookend the tournament with 2 Auckland circuits. So for us, we're looking forward to getting off to a good start.
How much have you learned about yourself as a director of football in this process, creating something, even though you have Black Knight as kind of a guidepost and the other side of things when it comes to A-League? What have you learned about yourself in this process?
Oh, look, I think the main thing in all of this, John, is just to stay calm and keep a level head. And obviously, there's a million moving parts. It's been since the inception of the Pro League when we were a preferred club. Again, it was just having a strategy of getting the right people in the building and making sure that we had a real laser focus on getting the right people in the right positions and creating a team identity that the team can get behind it and really push forward and try and win the competition.
There you go. Terry McFlynn hanging out with us, and he was very, very gracious to give us that time. And it was basically, here's how that happened. I was doing the interviews that were a part of our original coverage in that day. And so you start circling back because you know that it's early morning over there when I'm doing interviews late afternoon here. And just checking in with the franchises as we've been doing. Hey, we'd like to catch up with so-and-so and so-and-so. Then you get that email back while you're in the middle of one interview. Hey, he can do it later on, like in an hour. It's like, okay, well, then that popped in. And so we were able to catch up with Terry McFlynn down at Auckland FC. So once again, OFC Pro League on the 280-character app. Follow them throughout this entire process. News out of one of the franchises, the Vanuatu franchise, one of the 8 franchises, is already losing their head coach and their general manager over philosophical differences with the front office, the rest of the front office and the ownership group. So we'll catch up with that and see how that is going to be a stumbling block as a part of this, because the 8 clubs are also in the middle of their Q&A with assembled media. And so it's, do you get to ask questions about that? I want to see what the response is from the media when it comes to that particular situation with one of the 8 clubs getting off the ground. So that will be interesting conversations and interesting sound bites to hear. And we are going to catch up with Matt Tanner at Thomas County Central. I've been going back and forth with him. The middle school gets their kickoff tonight, and so we'll find out what's going on with the soccer program at Thomas County Central as a part of our conversations in the Red Clay. So I can't thank Cody Case. I can't thank Ben Davis enough at Valdosta, and can't thank Matt Tanner at Thomas County Central for dropping by in hour number 1. Thanks to Terry McFlynn at Auckland FC as they get ready for their matchup with South Island United to kick things off in match day 1 in year 1 of the the OFC Pro League down in Oceania. We're going to continue our coverage once again all season long. We're going to be drifting in and out, catching up with folks, but we figured that because it is the first time that you get to do a first time, that we would be trying to catch up with as many of the franchises as possible as a part of our conversations here on the morning show. And so it's been really cool to catch up with them and find out how they're growing, how they're different and growing from the others, how they're the same and growing with others as they're trying to get ready for kickoff here coming up this weekend. So this is hour number 2, SDH AM. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by. Morning, Abby. Morning, David. Yeah. David, I don't know. I think David's asking the question about philosophical differences. Morning, Ricky. David's asking about Vanuatu's coach and GM. coded for they wanted to spend a little money. I don't know. I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was logistics. I don't know if it was just philosophy in general for doing something. It's like, well, we're used to doing A, B, C, D during our day, and the rest of the front office is like, well, no. Like I said, I don't know what the differences and the disagreements were. So that to me is going to be part of the Q&A going forward. Let's see. So let me go because it was posted on the IG. So let me find how it was phrased. All right. So Vanuatu United. So literally here was the club statement. Resignation of FC GM Christian Hoppel and head coach Lars Hopp. And so the club and the Football Federation announced the resignations effective later this month. Hoppel's last day is the 23rd. The GM's last day is the 23rd. The head coach will remain until the 26th to support the team preps. In their joint statement, obviously, they expressed gratitude. Certainly not an easy decision. Deeply thankful for the trust placed in us by VFF and Vanuatu United. Look back with immense pride and gratitude. Noted that differing views on the club's strategic direction influenced their decision. Quote, there are simply different opinions on how the future of the club should be managed. As we no longer feel fully aligned, we concluded that stepping aside is the right move. We part ways with full respect, no hard feelings, and no grudges. We leave on good terms, thankful to all who supported us. While we understand this news may cause disappointment, our decision was made carefully and with conviction. Vanuatu will always have a special place in our hearts. Thank you, Tomas. And so, and then you had the note from the league in and of itself. And so, Vanuatu legend Brian Kaltak was also asked about it. And so, so he is looking at things. Longtime Vanuatu national team player. So, press release. Daniel Rikmalau is a part of. Darval Simon is assuming the role of interim general manager, taking charge of the traveling delegation for the first series. Appointment follows the decisions of Hoppel as outgoing GM not to travel as a part of his planned transition within the team leadership. Decision was made by the board after successive meetings this week. The Football Federation expresses full confidence in Mr. Simon, instrumental in the foundational development of the club in his previous position as team manager. And then you have quotes from the board. Team flight to Auckland, which was earlier today, happening as scheduled. Final briefing with the players following this morning in the final training session. Interim GM Darval Simon, Coach Lars, and the players every success going forward. And so that's from the actual, like the press officer of the Football Federation when it comes to what's going on with that. And so you have the first 5 rounds of fixtures, and it is literally, you're looking at it, opportunities where it is 3 matches in a week, then it's 3 matches in 10 days, 3 matches in a week, 2 matches in 4 days, then 3 matches in a week. Man, that is rough. But that's what they were looking for when it came to the hub system and getting everything squared away. So that was David. I hope that helps. So we'll see what the decisions are when it comes to club and philosophy and all that kind of stuff. So good morning, Ricky. Morning, David. Morning, Emmy Lacist, who is here this morning for the first time. So morning, Abby. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. And so that is where we are this morning. And once again, we can't thank the coaches enough that come and hang out with us, and we can't thank everybody enough for dropping by and being a part of things. So once again, Nate Miller dropping by in about 5 minutes. Now, also, you have a couple of other signings going on. The Revs signed midfielder Cristiano Oliveira as a homegrown product, Somerville, New England's second Brazilian American Academy alum who's going to ascend. And so he's now signed as a homegrown to the MLS roster. 4-year deal, contract through December of 2029. Now, yesterday the Sounders signed Yusuke Nome and another couple, and Sebastian Gomez from Tacoma Defiance. Now, yesterday, in the signing and the press conference that was attached to Cristian Espinoza going from San Jose to Nashville, word came out on Unfiltered that apparently, and according to Landon Donovan in San Jose, someone in the San Jose front office forgot to, quote, trigger the option to trigger the option. So this was the original reporting, or the original words that Landon Donovan. So Landon Donovan on Unfiltered said that someone in the San Jose front office forgot to file the paperwork to trigger the option on Cristian Espinosa, which meant he was a free agent, which meant that Nashville picked him up. And so Ben Wright up in the 615, he says, can confirm this, by the way. Espinosa was never supposed to hit free agency. Massive mistake. So you end up with an error of error proportions. And maybe that's why Timo Werner might be being chased by San Jose at present. But apparently someone in the front office in San Jose forgot to file paperwork to trigger the option on Cristian Espinosa. He turned into a free agent. He signed with Nashville. And so someone, and if this is the case, if this is in fact the case, that this was what went down, that is, I shudder to think what the conversations are going to be like with Bruce Arena. I really do. What are the conversations going to be like with Bruce Arena when it comes to why did we let this happen? Why did this happen? Why did we let this happen? And so that's kind of what you were, that's what you were looking at. Apparently, in the conversations going on involving Cristian Espinosa's transfer, or just, well, it's not even a transfer technically, his move from San Jose to Nashville was because apparently someone in San Jose didn't file the paperwork to trigger the option on his contract. And so that made him a free agent, and he signs with Nashville. Nashville swoops in and gets Cristian Espinosa. Once again, I don't know. And ever since we heard that initial wave of reports about Wolves being interested in Sam Surridge, haven't heard anything since. Is this adding resources so you have Espinosa, Surridge, Mukhtar, or is this Espinosa and Mukhtar and Espinosa's insurance if the initial talks that we heard with Wolves about Sam Surridge come to pass? That is the second question that I have in my head about all of this. Is Espinosa insurance to be paired with Mukhtar, or is it going to be the three-headed monster in the attack to give folks something to think about when it comes to 2026? That, to me, is the conversation. And so apparently, once again, if the report is in fact true, I don't know if it will ever be verified, but nevertheless, it will be interesting to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on with the movement of Cristian Espinosa from one location to the other if someone forgot to file paperwork. So this is one of those things. We'll find out as we go. More news from Major League Soccer as we go this morning, but we're going to go to someone who is on the Tom Coughlin scale. 5 minutes early, you're on time. You're on time, you're late. And if you're late, I'm closing the door and locking it and you can't come in. So now we go and find out what's going on in the world of AC Boise. And our friend Nate Miller, who is the man in charge. We got a lot of things to talk about. And he is gassed up and ready to go. So are you gassed up and ready to go?
I'm gassed up and ready to go, John. How are you?
Good to see you, my friend. Where are you right now?
I'm in Boise. I'm ready to go I'm taking off to Panama today for a scouting trip. So
Whoa. Panama?
That's right. Players come from all over the globe, John.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know this, but you get to go down and catch up with folks in Central America in person. When you started this whole thing, it's like, okay, did you have like the big Animaniacs map and sit there and go, well, I want to go here, 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 and here? I mean, the scout walk me through this scouting and this field trip, man.
Well, yeah, this one came up from a couple of agents I've worked with in the past that I've been fortunate enough to bring in some good young players from different countries, especially African countries, but they have a really good network in Panama, and Panama is a country that's producing a lot of very good young players. The league is extremely young. Some of the teams we're visiting, the first division teams, the average age is like 20 years old. And, there's a lot of players coming out of there now, but like, I think it's important to get to markets before they're, extremely picked over and discovered. And so looking for some specific profiles, they have some great athletes that are being produced down there. And so, yeah, I think for me, what I've learned is if you want the best guys that fit you, the best profiles, the best prices, you got to go to the source. So you can't just sit behind your computer. So that's what I'm doing. Don't be too jealous though. My flight itinerary, if you look at it, I'm leaving tonight. It's not going to be the prettiest trip. So you don't have to be too jealous of my travel itinerary.
Well, but I mean, if you were to, post pictures on the social media and sit there and go, hey, if you did if you did an airport diary of, hey, I'm here in this airport. Now I'm in this airport. Now I'm in this airport. Now I'm actually watching a match. I just have this vision now of an itinerary that's like 19 pages long, transferring about 9 different times in flights. I imagine it's either Boise to Denver or Boise to Houston, and then flying from one of those locations into Central America, maybe a stop in Mexico City, or are you getting the Nate Miller special where it's like nonstop from Boise to Panama City, Panama?
Yeah, on a private jet. No, to be fair, at first it was kind of what you were describing, and I went back. I was like, guys, I don't know about this, and credit to them, they got me to Boise to LAX straight to Panama City, so it's not going to be terrible.
Okay, just like I said, it's
through the night. It's through the night. So
okay, because I was just making sure that it wasn't like 38 stops and all these kinds of things. Yeah. What has it been like for you to assemble something from scratch where you can take a flight from Boise to LAX to Panama City?
Oh man, it's a long process. Fortunately, this is my 3rd time doing it as an expansion team, and so I do love it. There's something sick about me with that. I do love it, but it is a great, like, it's so unique, right, to our soccer culture here. Expansion teams, like in other countries, people don't really understand what you're talking about, and so, like, what do you mean the club didn't exist before? That doesn't make sense. But it is a great opportunity because every single player that you bring in and everything that you're building is what you want. And like, if there's a mistake, it's on you. There aren't players coming in where you're trying to move on and you're stuck to guys on contracts. It is like a very unique moment. And so I take it very seriously because I know all the work that we've been doing the last few months and even now, and we're not going to be done till mid preseason, late preseason, with players on trial, is like that will pretty much dictate most of your happiness or unhappiness as an individual for 10 months. So you better get it right. And so I know the ups and downs of a long season. And so more than the players that we're looking for, I know like the type of men I'm looking for, because you spend a lot of time together and it's a long career and the seasons are long, and you have to like really, first of all, trust the players like as human beings first, and then really enjoy who they are so that you can build something that it is different and is unique. And building culture there's no better opportunity than expansion teams, because you're starting with a blank canvas, as you know.
And, so Nate Miller has completed breakfast and he's getting ready for a long day as he heads to the airport eventually before he heads to Central America, hanging out with us here on the morning show. When you have those initial conversations, you mentioned obviously that there are folks that may not necessarily understand. It's like, no, we're new at this because they're used to dealing with clubs that have pedigrees of decades and things like that. Do you experience any added stumbling blocks when it comes to trying to convince players to come to a location in either of your 3 startups? Because there's do you want to be something? You want to be a part of something new? What do you mean new? Is there any kind of stumbling block when it comes to trying to convince players to be a part of something like this?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. I think that in our country, so players have been around the USL. It's not like that's something they're used to. Like they know of expansion teams all the time, and so it's not like this super unique thing. When you're doing international recruitment, that is, yes, I think I've only experienced players going like, wow, that's really cool. Like that would be a great opportunity, because you feel like, someone's starting something for the first time and someone's coming and saying like, I want you to be part of it. Like there is a level of like, wow, like it's an honor. You know what I'm saying? And for me as well as a coach, for Boise, it's been easy is not the right word, but it is how the club, the infrastructure, like when you show someone we're building a stadium, like this is happening right now. We have sold out all of our season tickets already. Like they catch on pretty quick that this is a serious club. These are serious people, and this city is buzzing. And so who doesn't want to be a part of something like that? And so I think that is not really an obstacle at all. Now, at other clubs, I think it could be. And every expansion team I've been on is very different, and each city is very different. But this city is also like growing extremely fast. Like a lot of people are moving to Boise. And so I hadn't really thought about Boise too much before the last year at all. But it seems like there's, the city is exciting, a lot of people moving here, and the club is doing things the right way. And so when you can show people a vision of now and in the future, off the field and then on the field, of this is who we are, this is exactly how you fit into that. I think when you give people like a very clear windshield, is this is where we're going, and this is the seat you're in, and this is why we want you, I think you get really good responses from that.
Yeah, and it takes a special kind of individual who has a special type of internal constitution that gets, regardless of whether they understand the USL dynamic or an expansion franchise dynamic or not, it takes a special individual to come into a situation like this outside of the on the field stuff that you're looking for philosophically, that they fit what you're looking for. They've got to understand that it might not be, 32-0 out of the blocks. There might be some lean times where you're on a roadie that you're, playing 3 times in 12 days and you hit a rough patch, and you've got to navigate that as a first-year team. So you've got to be looking for special folks that have that understand what it's like between the ears as much as what you're looking for them on the field too.
Absolutely. That's well said. And I think just to add on that, I think that that's not just expansion team. That's because something that's so unique about our league in the world is just the travel. And so like having players really understand that this is like you have to show up to away games, as you just mentioned, in the right frame of mind, because some of these travel days are no joke. That's why I think it's important to build your core with USL players who understand that. Because if you come from, let's just say you come from Scotland, right? Your games are like 1.5-hour bus ride max. And then all of a sudden now you're trying to get from Boise to our first away match is Sarasota. Like that's like, that's a serious trip. So that's one of those things where it's like you have to get used to it, and you need players who've lived it so they can kind of guide the other guys.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you're going to be taking the Nate Miller Airways PJ from Boise to Sarasota for that first match. But and we kind of joke about it, but that is part of the deal. It's like understanding how your body responds going from one end of the planet to the other, and knowing that you've got to be ready. If you're going to have this short cycle of games, okay, I'm only going to play you 60 here. Don't take it personal because I need you in 4 days, in Chattanooga when we're hopping on more flights and going from point A to point B. It's like, and having the players almost put their ego aside a little bit that don't understand the idea of the hops and the games and 3 and 14 days and those kinds of things. It's like they've got to understand what they're getting into as a part of this. And that might take some time.
Yeah, that's it. And I think so much what I've learned, like to be a top coach, to be a really good manager of people, like people talk about communication all the time, but how you communicate with your players, how regularly, in what format, how much of it is individual, like managing the group, their mental state, and just making sure you spend time with each individual, for me, is paramount to like how I view coaching. So on a very personal level, I've learned, especially with modern players, you can't assume that they understand things. So like understand decisions, and, all these guys have built up a healthy ego to get to this place in their life. And so they're all extreme competitors. Now, on the flip side, the way I make sure that that's just from a structural standpoint, not as much of an issue, is that in the USL, like I don't like super deep rosters. Like I like to sign I like the players that we sign are playing games. Like I don't like having fake depth, meaning like, well, we have 3 players at this position, but this player played 450 minutes in the season. That's not how I build teams. I really like to build teams where you have, I call it 15 starters, like guys who are like, everyone's so invested because everyone's a part of it. And so I think part of creating that culture and that togetherness is making sure that how you structure the roster is one that like everyone who's here every day is playing a big role. And especially in the USL, I really believe that that's super important. So yeah, that's a big part of it.
how long did it take you to like the idea internally of, yeah, I'm a short bench guy? Because I mean, there are folks that will sit there and, whether, if you want to bring in the college basketball analogy, they'll sit there and go, yeah, I don't mind doing a fire wagon change and I'll swap out and I've got a second wave and all this kind of stuff. But there are some guys that have been very, very successful in college basketball, as an example. This doesn't go, nah, I've got like my one or two guys. I play with 7 and I'm cool with that. And everybody else knows that if it ends up as the next man up, then they're called upon. How long did it take you to get comfortable with that idea of, yeah, this is who I am. I'm a short bench guy?
Yeah, I think like from a football style and identity standpoint, I'm not a pragmatist. Like I very much want to entertain, and we play expansive football. From what we're talking about right now, it's just like pragmatic learning, like what works. And what works is like, instead of having a second number 6 who isn't of the quality that I want, like my starting number 8 can play there too. And so my point is, like, I think there are guys that if you do recruitment right, can play in multiple positions and can cover, in different away games. He can play here. This center back can also play in this position. And so you obviously need depth, but that was just for me learning over time what worked for me, what worked for my teams to be successful, and kind of what made the group better. Now, it's not to say we don't have depth, we do, but my point is, like, I'm not looking to have too deep everywhere and go next man up. So I think that with how we train, I think you can create a lot of understanding from players on, so that a player is well equipped and has the tools to step in to do like a slightly different role on any given day.
And you've got 5 new guys that you've signed, and it was a bulk buy. It's like it comes out on the release. There's like 5 dudes, and it's like, okay, you're not wasting any time. One of the names that came across in the release, familiar to folks in this footprint, with Jake Dengler. A lot of folks in the Southeast know Jake and his time. The 5 guys that you signed, for those that might not know all 5, what did they bring to the table as a part of your roster dynamic? What do they bring to the table there at Boise?
Sure. So, well, we've actually signed 15, but we haven't like announced them all yet. So, I actually
want to break some news here.
I don't think people would be too happy with me if I did, but no, I'm trying to remember who's been announced. As you can imagine, that's not really my world. There's a whole thing to that, but I believe so. We obviously brought in Blake Bodley, who is a Boise native, who I've coached in the past in San Diego. And to be fair, like, we're very fortunate to have Blake. It's a big signing. He would start on any USL championship team. He was one of the most sought after free agents. And so previous relationship with him coming home, this club doing things really well and being at a high level club, I think really helped bring him. You mentioned Jake Dengler. That was me in the last 6 months just watching the league. I actually didn't know who he was, and every time I turned on a Naples game, I'm like, this. Your first time you watch him, I just thought he was like a classic 6'5" center back, good on aerial duels, tough, but he can really play. And what I really love about him is that he has like an indoor background. He played a lot of indoor, and so his ability to like play close to pressure, use the bottom of his foot, be very comfortable with the ball. Usually don't see that in the lower leagues from a player who's 6'5". And so I think that he brings a lot on set plays as well. And we have a set play specialist in Charlie Adams, who we've signed. And so as you put together your roster, you need to have very complementary pieces. And I think who Jake is and his strengths with the other, Jake Krul is our left center back, who's a very like ball progressive passer. He's been a very good player in this league. And he's a player that is very good at coming out with the ball in the back. And then we'll have another center back with a ton of pace to complement those guys, so we can play with that high line and be really aggressive and pin teams in. And so Jake is my calls with Jake, my video calls with him went really well. Like, I was really impressed with what, he's in his prime right now, but he really wants to push. He feels like he wants to take big next steps, and maybe he needs to be in an environment where more is demanded of him. And I'm going to demand a lot of Jake. And so, but he's a high performer in this league, and I think that's important to have in year 1.
6'5" in a phone booth doesn't hurt. Jonathan Ricketts and Nick Moon were the other 2.
Okay. Yeah. Ricketts is a player I tried to sign in San Diego twice. He is like a really, like, first of all, amazing leader, amazing human being, like data wise, he's always pops. It's interesting. Like just his dual rate, like his ability to break up play, he's a very reliable and consistent player. And so he's a flexible player that can play across positions. He can play as a wing back. He can play as a right center back in a 3, both sides, fullback. So again, telling you about how we're talking about how to build a roster. That's a player that can do he can fulfill a lot of roles you ask of him. Okay. And who is the other one you mentioned?
Nick Moon.
Nick. Yeah. Nick, I go away. Obviously I've coached Nick twice. So I coached Nick in Lansing and in San Diego. And he just came here from Tampa. Like there's no one in the world that loves Nick Moon more than I do. I think on his day, when he is flying and when everything is right in his body, he's an unplayable 1v1 player, like just unplayable. So I think that's a player for me that I know, like there's just certain guys that work for you and work for them in your environment. And I tell this to players all the time, and not just players, everyone. Like the secret to like a successful player in a club, it's right player, right coach, right club, right time. If one of those things isn't right, there could be a really good player out there that you don't see much from. But if all those things are right, like players can really, really flourish. And Nick has always been like that for me. And I'm really like thankful that he chose to come here.
Nate Miller, head coach at AC Boise, before he travels to Panama. And how long are you down there, by the way?
4 days.
Okay, so let's see. So if you're leaving today, so you're back on Monday?
I'm back very late Sunday night, and then we have a closed door trial on Monday and Tuesday.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
I was going to say, well, Friday morning East Coast time let me check my grid here. Well, 10:30 Friday morning East Coast time, if you're in Panama and you just happen to be at a game scouting players, you could always hop on.
Sure. Go ahead. We can work it out. We can do it live from the stadium without
That's what I'm saying. So look, from 10:30 to 11:05 or beyond, we are wide open right now.
Go ahead. I'm up for anything. Let's do it.
If you've got enough miles and points, and your phone service and the Wi-Fi in Panama works, you can sit there and say, this is me live scouting dudes, and this is me walking down the streets in Panama City, Panama, having lunch.
Yeah, I'll just send you my Verizon bill, and we got a deal.
I thought that went upstairs, and not it goes upstairs to the administration. No, I was promoting the club. I was showing what we're doing with all of this money that you're investing in me right now. So Nate Miller hanging out with us as he's getting ready to hit the road for AC Boise. So you mentioned data, and how much of a data guy are you when it comes to looking at players? Because you can't register garra, you can't register heart and want to and all those kinds of things, the emotional aspect of it through data. How much does data play into what you're looking for when you're trying to assemble a roster?
Yeah, I just had this conversation previously with someone, and I think it's a great question. And I think that like our soccer culture and really sports culture is so used to just saying data as if it's like this overarching thing. And it's like, when someone says that, I'm like, what do you mean? What exactly are you talking about right now? And so I think that, and the key for me is data definitely has its place, but it has to be a comparable situation. Meaning like it is very hard to compare, like, let's just use Panama, for example, that league to the USL Championship. If there's never been any player movement between the two and no comparisons and no precedent, like someone who maybe is not experienced with what they're doing could say, well, he looks good on the data. And I'm like, okay, compared to that league and compared to those players and where have they gone? How does that league stack up to this league in terms of strength, but also of style? And so it's like, I think you need to have like a very comparable data set to say like, okay, this player is really like strong in data. So, but if we're talking about USL, just the USL ecosystem, it can be very helpful if your tools are good though. Like I think that there's a lot of data tools that aren't very good. Like I think we just see the output, but like I am always asking like, what's going into this? Like I want to know what the back end is, because at the end of the day, the data is only as good. What comes out is only as good as like what it's using. And I think sometimes some tools I've been super disappointed to be like, well, I disagree with like how they're like even calling it what is a duel, So I think there are certain like really good data like, there are really good like tools out there, and then there are some poor ones, and it's an industry that's really growing, and I think there's so many options out there, and I think that you have to not just pick carefully, but also analyze the data correctly. I think the people that use data correctly get the data and then use it in context to what you're looking for, and I think that's a very hard thing to do. But I would, to me, I still really, really believe in like seeing what you're seeing, and I'll give this example. This is why, like, when you say a player looks good in data, like when you're looking at recruitment, you can see 1 year, his like pie chart is like this, like 98 percentile of everything. Goes to a different club, new coach, and it's like completely different. And so it's like, well, he has good data in the right environment, but in another environment, he's really bad. So my point is like, the data is just capturing what the player is doing on match day. And as we all know, it's a human business. What players do on match day, it has a lot, like, can change drastically based on what club they're at and what coach they have and the whole environment that they're in. And so I think it's very, very complex it's a very complex part of recruitment, but it definitely has its place.
Because data doesn't give you emotional and physical context.
Right.
And
and it's always changing, and players are always changing, and it looks like a data on the same player on 2 different years is way different. And so you can't just take the most recent year and say that's who this player is. You have to figure out what will he be like for us, and that's recruitment.
Okay. So Nate Miller, who has signed 5, he's actually officially signed 5, but he says he's signed 15. He can't tell us the other 10. And he's going to Panama to recruit. And so I looked at the Clausura schedule, which apparently is kicking off this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, match day 1.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Round 1 has, let's see. So if today is Wednesday, so there's one match. The Clausura kickoff is on Friday night. And then there are 3 other matches on Saturday, one Saturday afternoon, one Saturday at dinner time, and one late. And if you are going to make your flight, you will not be seeing Alianza and Tauro on Sunday at 7:15. So there are 8 clubs that are going to be playing by the time you get down there, unless you're going to be watching Alianza and Tauro from the airport. Am I accurate, sir, in my assessments of the?
Yep, I'm looking at my schedule here. So we're seeing multiple games in one day. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm seeing 9 games in the 4 days that I'm down there.
Wow. Okay, so you're not just in the LPF. You're looking at like
a couple of them are the, like, 2 of those are like Costa del Este, like that's like the U21s of a team that I like. But yeah, so we're seeing one Veraguas and Universitario. You have San Francisco and Union. You have Plaza and Sporting, Alianza and Tauro, all those clubs. So and a lot of those clubs have a lot of very, very good young players.
Yes,
so.
and we get to see them in the Triple C, the CONCACAF Champions Extravaganza. We've seen Alianza, we've seen Tauro, we've seen Independiente, we've seen San Francisco. But yeah, Veraguas and Deportivo Universitario is the kickoff in the Clausura. That is at 8:30 on Friday night. Okay, so I see how this works.
Yep.
In a perfect world, when you go down, what are you looking to accomplish? Is it initial relationships? Is it solidifying player transfers? How far down the road do you look to go in a situation like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. You never know what you're going to find when you're on the ground. And so you don't go blind, like the people bringing us in. So it's an agent that I really trust that I've worked with in the past that's bringing us down there. They actually pay for the few coaches that they ask to come down. So they're kind of arranging the trip. So when we go down there, that they've done a great job. The reason you have to trust the people on the ground that they're connectors. You need to have connectors down there. You can't just go watch a game. So there's kind of like an initial list of players that, hey, we think these guys are available and we think that they're available to move and we think that they're players you'd be interested in. Now, when you're down there, anything can happen and you can see whatever you see, but you have to have like intermediaries, people on the ground, translators, people who can make things happen. And in different countries, that takes on different shapes on who those people are. There's, as you know, this is life. Like, this is how life works, right? Like, there are just people who are able to open doors and move things. And the more you're connected with those people, you have to have all that in place before you take on a trip like this, or else I think that it's not going to be the best use of your time.
I was going to say, it's like you're going to 9 matches. It's like, how are you getting credentials for all these 9 matches? You're paying for tickets and just wandering in, sitting in the end zone. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm going to go to all 9 of these matches. It sounds like, Ron Meyer when he was the head coach at SMU. We see 40 games on a weekend in high school, those kinds of things. I cannot thank you enough for this. Obviously,
Right.
on the flip side, when you want to announce the other 10 players, plus all the success that you've had in Panama, obviously, you've got a home. You can come in here and break news anytime you want.
Okay.
You know where the garage door opener is and where the key is under the mat. You can crash. All that we ask is that you get down there safely and that you take plenty of pictures, shoot a lot of videos so we can sit there and go, hey, here's what he's doing while he's one of those kinds of things. Cannot thank you enough for visiting during breakfast in Boise. Oh, that's a segment right there. Breakfast in Boise with you. We will catch up with you on the flip side as we get obviously closer and closer to the beginning of season number 1. Be safe, my friend. We will see you soon.
Thank you, John. Take care. Bye-bye.
That's Nate Miller. He's the head coach at AC Boise, and he's putting up with all of our silly questions when it comes to building a franchise. So it was great to catch up with him and find out what's going on. But yeah, so Nate Miller is apparently going to Panama. And it's not like, 19 different stops or anything like that. But apparently, yeah. So he is going to be down there for the first 5 matches of the first division. And his last match apparently is going to be on the 18th at 7:15 in the evening. And then I guess that's when you get out of town. So that's what you're looking at there out of Panama. You have the Clausura, which is underway. And then what other divisions are there? I don't want latest scores. I just want scheduled. So that's all right. So that is the first division in Panama from our friends at Flash Score. But obviously we can't thank our friends enough over at AC Boise for dropping by and letting us know what's going on, pulling back the curtain as they're building a first-year franchise there in Boise. And it's been fun to kind of see what different parts of the build are like, whether it is the players themselves. Like I said, when Jake Dingler came out as the big name and the 5 that was released to those of us in this footprint, we're like, oh, okay, we do have to circle back with Nate and find out what's going on there. So it's been fun to look at the build. It's been fun to look at the build in a bunch of different ways today. Whether it was the build in the high school side at a place like Valdosta, and we are going to catch up with Coach Tanner at Thomas County Central. They've got their middle school schedule starting. We're going to catch up with him and have a separate conversation. So to find out what the build is like for 2 young coaches in the Valdosta tenure, they're experienced coaches around the state and here on the high school ranks, but to see what the build is like at a Valdosta, to see what a build is like in South Georgia, to see what a build is like in Auckland, New Zealand, for an established franchise group that knows what they're getting into, but they're going into another league so they can work their window and come into the Club World Cup scenarios there. And to find out what the build is like at AC Boise, where Coach Miller gets to put up with all of our questions and find out about the DNA that he has when it comes to the build and it comes to structure and all these kinds of things. And so that's why we wanted to kind of pair these 3 together today to go high school build and where the questions are, professional build for something completely new, and professional build in a league that is growing, but it's new in that particular environment. So there's a bit of a commonality today on Wednesday to kind of show you what's going on in and around everything. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. It's from our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, helps you by adding more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatis, you get the BNs, home of AFCON. Semifinals are today. We'll go over the juice boxes in a sec. You get TSA, matches from Argentina, Liga 1, Liga 1 Max Pro. You get to watch what's going on in other parts of South America. You get Tigo Sports. You get CATV. All of those, all in one place. One subscription, one home. It's Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Another couple of friends that we need to help out, to help us out and help you out as well. Our friends at Grady Baby. You'll remember that You might have seen the collaboration that we wear occasionally on the air. The Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. The clothing line that's from our friends at Grady Baby. That's at grady-baby.com. Grady-baby.com. That line, the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta line, t-shirt, sweatshirt, red or black. It's about more than just gear. Proceeds from the campaign go directly toward growing the game through middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. Great message there. Support the message, support the game. Find it at grady-baby.com. And then also, you know about our relationship with the last country on the planet to start a national soccer program, the Marshall Islands. You can support the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation by visiting their website, picking up some of their incredible gear, including the scarf featuring the SDH Network logo. And it's got the new logo on it now. And you can get that through them. You can get it directly from me. I've got 2 left in the office, and I've got to make another order for a new round of 50. Just reach out. We'll make it happen. Check out the site. You might notice a familiar face on the promo photos. Our own Maddie Cruz modeling the scarf. It's what growing the game everywhere really looks like, especially with our friends from the Marshall Islands and Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Once again, tomorrow, obviously, we're always efforting guests. But tomorrow, Power Hour, 10 o'clock, Nino and Nico. We're going to go around the world. We got to talk to Nino Torres about Xabi Alonso. And we're going to talk to Nico about everything going on in Major League Soccer, all the moves, all the names, all the things. That's going to be last half hour on your Thursday. Nino and Nico, the Power Hour is tomorrow. Friday, reminder. We're going to see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring, see if we can find out what Greg Garza is up to. 10 o'clock, the majority owner of Macclesfield FC is going to be with us as we have reached out. And it is going to be one of those. It's going to be a really fun interview. And it's going to be a great opportunity to kind of see what's going on when it comes to the club in and of itself. And it is, when you have a story like what we have with Macclesfield, it's one that you can't ignore. And so it's going to be an opportunity for us to catch up with the majority owner of Macclesfield, and so that one's going to be a fun one when we catch up with Rob Smethurst, and that's going to be 10 o'clock Friday morning. Rob Smethurst, majority owner for Macclesfield FC. We're catching up with him after their big win over Crystal Palace, and we're going to catch up with him about the entire experience. Probably block out that entire half hour on a Friday. So Rob Smethurst, majority owner, Macclesfield FC, he's going to be joining us at 10 o'clock right now as it is scheduled, 10 o'clock Friday morning on the network. So that's going to be really cool as we sit there and go with that. All right, so updating things. In Austin, Owen Wolf has undergone successful surgery to address a sports hernia, and the procedure was planned in coordination with the club, and Wolf is estimated to make a full recovery by mid to late February. He is immediately going to begin rehab at St. David's Performance Center. So that is news out of Austin this morning. Also, Charleston has that winger Juan David Torres has been loaned to Club Sport Boys of the Peruvian Liga Uno for the 26th season, pending league and federation approval. There is a purchase option for a fixed 6-figure fee if the club is interested after that. Now, also, Nashville SC has bought out a portion of Tyler Boyd's contract, exercised the 26 buyout on a retained portion after Boyd was claimed off waivers by LAFC. So the dynamics of this are as follows. So Nashville announces they exercised the 26 buyout option on a retained portion of Tyler Boyd's contract after he was claimed off waivers in re-entry by LAFC. Under MLS roster rules, a club is allowed at its own expense to buy out 2 players under guaranteed contracts a year and free up the corresponding salary budget space. So Nashville basically used one of their oopsies on Tyler Boyd. Also, Courage signed Molly Pritchard through the 27 season, and she completes the goalkeeping group heading into 2026. 2-year deal for Pritchard, standout at Ohio State University. Career year in 25, All-American, anchoring the defense. It set a new program record for consecutive shutouts. And the Atlanta native also took home Big Ten Keeper of the Year honors, as well as being named All-Region and All-Big Ten. So we will find out what's going on there, and we'll see if we can catch up with Molly as we go, as we get you ready for the NWSL season coming up in a couple of weeks. Huntsville City's announced their 26 exhibition schedule. And it looks like that they're going to open preseason play on February 21st, 1 o'clock Eastern time against UAB. And then they're going to play UAH on the 28th at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Also announced the tryouts for the 26th season are now available as well. So that is a part of that conversation when it comes to Huntsville City. We mentioned earlier in the show, Crystal Palace in talks with Angers for attacker Siddiqui Sharif. Apparently, Milan and Frankfurt also made calls this week, but a deal with Crystal Palace is closer. Not yet done. Club-to-club talks have advanced when it comes to Sharif, and that seems to be the latest news from overseas. All right, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into your juice boxes here and let you know what else is going on. So, what to watch? AFCON, noon and 3 o'clock. It's the semifinals. Senegal and Egypt at noon. Morocco, Nigeria at 3 o'clock. We'll get into juice boxes in a sec. FS2 has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. They got the matchup at 12:30. BN and Espanol is simulcasting AFCON. We mentioned how you can get BN and all the BNs through our friends at Fanatis. Fox Deportes Serie A at 12:30. Napoli and Parma. They've got Liga MX at 10 o'clock tonight with Tigres and Pumas. ESPN Plus has the Bundesliga at 12:20. 2 matches at 2:20. FoxSports.com simulcasting the league that has the match at 12:30. Paramount Plus Serie A, Napoli Parma at 12:30, Inter and Lecce at 2:45. English League Cup is on Paramount Plus at 3 o'clock with Chelsea and Arsenal. So that is what you're looking at with what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. But the biggest thing today, AFCON, noon and 3, and keeping an eye on that. Getting into the juice boxes for these particular matches. The noon match, Senegal and Egypt. Senegal is favored slightly on the plus side at a plus 102. 90-minute draws a plus 196. Egypt to win in 90 minutes is a plus 323. The 3 o'clock, Nigeria and Morocco. Morocco is a favorite on the plus side at a plus 116. 90-minute draws a plus 187. And Nigeria is a plus 290. Tottenham have now confirmed that Conor Gallagher has now joined. He's holding up the jersey, so it is obviously official. Atletico de Madrid, €40 million, 5.5-year deal. Aston Villa advanced in talks before Spurs came in for the late jump. Thomas Frank directly was involved in persuading Conor Gallagher to sign. So that was the news out of Spurs. So that was an interesting maneuver there. So that was Conor Gallagher was headed in one direction, then he ends up going in another direction. League Cup, let me get you your juice boxes there today from what's going on in England before we get into all the other rumor and gossip and things that we'll be getting into today before we get you out of here. So Chelsea and Arsenal. Arsenal big favorite at a plus 104. Chelsea's a plus 250, and your 90-minute draw is a plus 236. All right, so let's take a peek at the at your gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we'll see if we can see. This is what happens when your laptop decides it's going to update overnight, not tell you. Yeah, the laptop updated overnight, and so I'm now having to go back and try to figure out, okay, where things are and where they stand. Man City is preparing a Mark Gahey offer, and let's see. So asking price, £35 million. They're unlikely to meet it, meaning Manchester City. So prepared to make an offer before the end of the window, but it doesn't look like it's going to be in the neighborhood of 35. Bayern Munich has been making calls to try to convince Gahey to join them in the summer. That's from Florian Plettenberg in Sky Germany. Manchester United do not plan to bring back Marcus Rashford when his loan spell at Barcelona ends. That's from Talk Sport. Manchester United and England U20 striker Ethan Wheatley will join Bradford City on loan. So Wheatley goes to Bradford City on loan until the end of the year. We mentioned Forest kicking the tires on Marcus Tavernier, but Bournemouth does not plan to sell. It's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Spurs are blocking all inquiries for Matisse Tell, despite loan interest from Paris FC. Once again, that's from our friend Florian Plettenberg. Bournemouth continuing talks with Ferenc Varos over the deal on Alex Toth after their initial £8.6 million deal was rejected. Newcastle considering signing a defender this month after Tino Livramento suffered a hamstring injury that's going to keep him out for 8 weeks. City, Brentford, Spurs are all set to miss out on Souleymane Sani RB Leipzig finalizing a £4.5 million deal with Trenčín in Slovakia. Liverpool is not going to offload Joe Gomez after Connor Bradley suffered a season-ending knee injury. Jurgen Klopp is one of Real Madrid's top candidates to succeed Xabi Alonso. Conte and Enzo Maresca also being considered. But if you look at Jurgen Klopp's early comments, he says that there is something internally wrong, and it doesn't sound like he's all that interested. Arsenal do not intend to sell Ben White despite his lack of game time and interest from clubs like Everton and Manchester City. Let's see. News. Middlesbrough have agreed to sign Brighton's Jeremy Sarmiento on a permanent, currently on loan at Cremonese with Jamie Vardy. QPR turned down an offer for Jonathan Varane from Saint-Etienne. QPR have entered the race to sign Mark Leonard from Birmingham. Stoke advanced in talks on Cody Drame from Hull. Plymouth Argyle's Bali Mumba undergoing a medical at Huddersfield. Looks like the fee might be £1 million. Preston's Will Keane set to join Reading on loan. Bolton's Josh Dakers Cogley set to undergo a medical at Stockport County. Pompey advanced in talks to sign Luton's Milanic Ali, who only joined a year ago. So that is the gossip on multiple levels overseas. So let's take a peek, and we'll go and find out if there are any stories that we need to keep an eye on as we go. And we'll find out all of the news that's fit to print. Obviously, the Sam Coffey transfer, that's a big deal right now. $875,000 base, with as much as another $125,000 in incentives. So could be as up to 7 figures by the end of it all for Sam Coffey going to Manchester City from Portland. So we'll find out honestly what Portland plans to do with the 875. Who do they plan on picking up, or are they going to kind of sit on it and wait to see what they can do going from there? So it looks like nothing in the news realm from our friends at the Guardian. So we'll see if there's any other transfer news or newsy news from our friends at Sky. They are mentioning the Conor Gallagher move. Once again, 34 million pounds and euros in translation, all that kind of stuff. So 5.5-year deal. He held up the jersey, so it is now officially official. Rangers have completed the signing of left back Tor Romans from Westerlo, 3.5-year deal. Let's see. No surprise from Michael Bridge at Sky over the Paratici departure, but there is no definite replacement currently when it looks to filling that space. Let's see. Paratici is leaving Spurs only months after rejoining. Vinay Venkatesham, the CEO, said that he had expressed the desire to move back to his native country, and the statement is out on the Spurs website. Let's see. We mentioned Sam Coffey. We mentioned Sosa. Cologne are interested in Dan Neal from Sunderland. They're hoping to keep Romain Mundel. Feyenoord and Rangers are in pursuit. And we mentioned Daniel Mallon. And Connor Bradley, fully focused on rehab after undergoing season-ending knee surgery. He said on social media that the recovery starts now. So medical is done there, and we are in decent shape in that regard. So let me check the emails and see if there's anything else that I might have missed on our way out the door. Houston Dynamo, that's official. Okay, so Houston Dynamo trying to find lightning in a bottle more than once. They have officially re-signed Ache. How different this individual is from the previous model, we don't know. Hector Herrera re-signed after spending 25 with Deportivo Toluca, helping them win both the Clausura and the Apertura. Center midfielder, 82 appearances in his first tour, 8 goals, 22 assists with Houston, best 11 honors in 23, all-star recognition 23 and 24. Contract through this season, so it's a 1+1. Ache through 26, club option for 27. And the press conference and briefing is going to be tomorrow. Pat Onstad, quote, "It is an honor to welcome Hector back home to Houston. He is a respected leader, both on and off the field, and a player whose influence helped change the trajectory of this club during his first stint, guiding us to the club's 4th trophy in 23 and a club point record in 24. His return reflects a shared ambition to build on past success. While his role will evolve, we know Hector's leadership and winning mentality will elevate the standards of our club. He returns with a deep connection to the city and a clear understanding of what it takes to bring trophies back to Houston." Quote from Ben Olsen, more on Ache. And so, 1+1 coming from Toluca at 35 years old. So it's a 1+1 for Ache Ache to return to Houston. Obviously, the exit in tour number 1 might be out of sight, out of mind for tour number 2. So we'll see what happens there with Hector Herrera available to the media tomorrow for his rollout of Ache Ache version 2.0 here in Major League Soccer. I think that's going to put a pin in it for today. Once again, you got AFCON coming up top of the hour, noon and 3 on BN, and we'll find out who the AFCON finalists are as we go at the end of the day. Tomorrow, once again, Nino and Nico, your power hour at 10 o'clock. We'll take you through AFCON tomorrow in the hour number 1. All the other transfers, all the other news, all the other things. We are efforting guests as always. We'll find out what we can find out when it goes across the board, and we'll get you ready for Thursday Thoughts coming up here at 9:05 Eastern Time. Once again, remember, Rob Smethurst, majority owner, Macclesfield FC. Friday morning, 10 o'clock, he's going to be with us to talk about what happened in the FA Cup with Crystal Palace, talk about the club, talk about being a Phoenix club, sixth current tier in the pyramid in England, and we'll get all of the lowdown from him at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. So that is another go-round of SDH AM. Once again, thanks to our friends at Valdosta High, thanks to our friends at Thomas County Central, thanks to our friends at Auckland FC, and thanks to Nate Miller. Breakfast in Boise with Nate Miller as he gets ready for a trip to Panama, checking out 9 games in a weekend to try to find players and bring them north and find out what he's looking for from AC Boise. So it's a great education hanging out with him and finding out what's going on. We got to look at the build in high school, got to look at the build in Oceania, got to look at the build in Boise in USL League One. Thanks to all of you guys for dropping by this morning. And we will be back at it again, once again, 9:05 tomorrow, a little less than 22 hours. So since it is the end of the show, it means we get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning, Thursday, here on SDH AM. Season 10 rolls on in earnest.